I don't know who needs to hear this, but I'm so glad that you're here. I know you're feeling insecure. I know you've been going through it, but don't worry. This video is not going to be another one of those videos that makes you feel like shit, tells you need to have 50 different routines and be pretty much a very type A sort of personality in order to fix anything happening in your life. Just really feel better about yourself and be happier. I went from being someone who was very, very insecure, was so scared of ever losing any of my friends, people pleaser, all of that, to being someone who models, who achieves all of her goals, who sees herself as insanely smart, able to take herself on solo dates, and overall is just a more confident, assertive, and boundary setting person. I wish I had this whole formula that I could tell you, but honestly, I don't. But if you're trying to find out what my experience was and how I went from that to that, then stick around and you'll find out. My name is Rucha. I am the founder of Unscripted. This channel, if you haven't done it already, make sure you smash the subscribe button because I post videos on here every single week and you know you don't want to miss out, girl. Okay. So let's start with the basics. I would constantly people please. I would pretty much say yes to things I didn't want to say yes to. I would go out of my way for people that sometimes would not go out of their way for me. I feel like sometimes I was feeling kind of hopeless. I was really depressed. I hated my surroundings. You name it, just a very negative mindset. But then I go to college. I went to Temple for reference, went to engineering school. So we love that, women in STEM. And the crazy thing is that when I got there, I actually didn't even think about, oh, I need to reinvent myself, I'm gonna do this and this. Like, no, I would just like, I don't want to live the way that I was living before. Cut off the friends that I used to have and just a lot of drama, whatever. There weren't people that honestly felt like they were serving my development, the way that I wanted to live my life. I feel like I was constantly being pulled into negative cycles. And then when I got to college, I remember meeting my roommate in college, which I post content about at times. She's one of my best friends. Her name is Aaliyah. And literally, she is the one that kind of inspired me to like stop giving a people think. And I think having someone who really just embodies that confidence that you want, whether it's someone, a creator you follow, or a new person you want to be friends with and making efforts to bring that person into your life, I feel like that makes a huge difference because I know that was a big catalyst for me. And then going on from there, high key, it just kind of hit me that no one here knows who I am. No one knows my background, anything. I can literally be whoever the I want. And girl, I took advantage of that because let me tell you, I would literally be like, yeah, I'm Rue. I did this and this. I wouldn't talk about any of the things I used to talk about. I feel like before I would gossip a lot. And I was just like, screw that. I don't want to do that. I started saying, oh, I like doing art. I like doing this. And I would literally start new hobbies because I'm like, I want to be this person. And I just noticed that the more and more that I would talk about things that I am already, the more and more I would start doing those things, which just sounds so convoluted. And honestly, it wasn't a one-step sort of situation. I would just throw myself into things. And it was rough. Honestly, I think this is something that I feel like doesn't get talked about in a lot of the content around up-leveling yourself or making a new identity for yourself, all that sort of stuff. It's really hard in the beginning, especially because you're literally replacing the neurological patterns that happen in your brain into something else. And that is not an easy task, no matter who you are and what you're doing. So if you are struggling with this and you have tried and you have failed, girl, it is hard. That's why you're failing. I'm not gonna tell you do it harder, like, no, it's literally hard. You get back up again and you try again. And I think the biggest thing that helped me is being able to stick with the story that I'd set for myself. So I was like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna be someone who makes art, who has hobbies, who models, and soon enough there'll be modeling opportunities. I said yes to things so much, and I was able to learn more about myself because I was pretty much starting from point zero when it came to self-esteem, when it came to sense of self, all of that. So going into college, I was like, hey, I'm just gonna say yes to things and see how I like different things. So I would literally be throwing things at the wall. I'm like, what is sticking? And the things that were sticking, such as I had an art business for 2 years, I started modeling, which I still do at times, times. I discovered myself a lot creatively, and these are things that I would have never discovered had I not started saying yes to so many things. And it's such a big part of who I am now. Like, I literally would not have this YouTube channel and be talking to you guys about any of these things if I hadn't put myself out there and thrown stuff at the wall to see what sticks with my personality and discovering who I am, which is such a college sort of thing to do. And even through your 20s or 30s or however old you are right now when you're watching this, it is never too late to discover who you are. And part of reinventing yourself and getting better and everything, it's not just about the morning routines and the workouts and all of that, which working out can definitely help because it's so good for you and makes you happier, but it's just about seeing what makes you happy. I think so many of the times, myself included, even now at times, it's so hard to think about, well, what is actually going to make me happy? And when you are in a space where you're really negative, you're depressed, and things aren't going in your way, chances are you are not behaving from a sense of, oh, I'm doing things that actually make me happy, or I'm doing things that align with what I want to do in my life. And when you're so misaligned from how you want to live and from the way that your life is going, or at least the actions you're putting towards getting to where you want to be, it's so hard and you're gonna be miserable. So I would 10 out of 10 recommend throwing things out there. And even if this means learning new skill sets, like, I know it's hard, I know it seems daunting, but I remember I literally took a game design class in college because it's like, oh, like, you know, I've always been interested in this, but I don't know if I'm actually gonna like it, if I'm gonna be good at it, all of that. And I did it. And honestly, I was not the biggest fan. I don't think I really enjoyed using Unity. That was my biggest thing. And so I was like, okay, this is not for me. But I really liked Python, for example. I never would have thought of myself as that, but I did. And it's just, again, putting myself out there so much. And this is something I even do now. I'm 24 years old, and I literally took a pole dancing class a little bit earlier this year. And I was like, ooh, I really like this. Or I'm trying different types of workouts or different cafes or different activities, and always putting myself in situations where there is an opportunity to quote unquote reinvent myself and just constantly evolve, you know? And I feel like this entire process is not even something that is like a one-time thing that's like, oh, like you're fixed, because I don't even know what that means, honestly. I hear influencers and other YouTubers talking about that all the time, how certain processes will fix your life, but I personally don't believe that. I am a firm believer that, you know, you are constantly learning new things about yourself and discovering more about your identity. Sorry, I was just putting this is like a jasmine perfume that my dad got for me from India, so shout out my dad. And it was on the side of the camera, and I saw it falling, so I was like, no. And something that was a hurdle, and I feel like it is a hurdle for so many people, say you're in your late 20s and you're starting to learn how to code, or you want to get into AI or machine learning, and you're like, shit, well, like, now, like, I work in marketing, how am I ever gonna get there? And I won't be able to do it, da da da, which is not true. Like, you can literally learn all the skill sets, do projects, all that, and yeah, it's gonna be a little bit hard, but you will get to where you want to be if you want to change yourself and transition into a new part of your life. And I feel like these exact tactics of just staying consistent and really putting myself out there at the end of the day just helped a lot in my transition from being an insecure high schooler to becoming a confident college baddie. And this also impacted a lot of just the way I would socialize with people too. Like, I remember throwing one of my first birthday parties in college at my apartment, and I remember feeling so weird about it because prior to that, the only birthday parties that I had thrown were, of course, at my house, but they were like with a small amount of people, and I would always be sad on my birthday, you know? I wasn't someone that was like, oh my god, I'm so happy, da da da, like, but I started experiencing more and more moments where I'm just consistently happy because I was around people that brought me up. I was in an environment that made me so happy, and in the pursuit of just finding things that made me happy and putting myself out there and just being delusional as hell about what it is that I can do. Like, 18-year-old me would have been like, oh my god, I want to throw a party, what if no one comes, da da da. But then I threw a party, and I think there were like 25 people there, and for a college apartment, that is a big amount. The whole apartment was packed. One of my friends wanted to make me a fruit cake, and it was this whole thing, and I just realized how much love in my life that I have, and how changing the type of people that I surround myself with made such a huge difference. Like, I'm telling you, just actually another thing, making friends that actually align with where you want to go, or not even align, right? When you're in college, you're not thinking about, oh, like, who do I need to surround myself with, da da da, which, yeah, like, I mean, that's important, but at that age, you're high key, you're just like, dude, I'm just trying to have fun and like enjoy myself, all of that. And I think in that, find people who make you feel good, not just the friends who you're like, oh, I can go party with you, I can go get drunk with you. Like, no, you want to find friends that are going to be there with you on your bad days. Say something horrible happens to your life or something, you're having a bad day, you want friends that will show up for you and sit with you and be there through the tough times, and not just a friend that's like, oh, like, you don't want to go out tonight, okay, well, whatever, like, not gonna talk to you vibes. Having just a core group of friends is always my cup of tea personally, and it's just something that really changed the way that I experienced college and the people I had, which honestly I look back with so much love, and I still have so many of those people in my life. And that being said, the people in your life, the amount of times you throw things at the wall and find out what it is that you like, what you don't like, and what makes you feel good, right? Like, working out, for example, a lot of people say how it's something that, you know, is really good for you, you should do it in your morning routine, da da da, but have you ever paid attention to how working out just makes you significantly happier? Like, it's something that actually betters your day, and yeah, it's a little bit hard to get into at first, but once you get into it, you're just significantly happier. And when you look at it that way, and then you make it a part of your life and your routine in some capacity, even if it is just a 15-minute walk, girl, you're gonna feel so much better. And when you're happier, you're just performing at life a lot better. You have more brain space to go and try different things. That's exactly what is also gonna make you successful as hell in the long term, understanding all your key strengths. That being said, I've yapped a lot, so I am gonna zip it now. Well, kind of. Thank you so much for watching, and please let me know what you thought of this video. If any of the things that I talked about in this video stood out to you, resonated with you and your experience, if you're in college now, if you're in high school going into college, like, please let me know. And again, if there's any video topics that you want to see or any podcast episode topics, and yeah, I love you. Bye.